Well, spring planting, it is quickly progressing with more than half of the nation's corn crop already emerged. However, active weather trends may have many wondering about potential impact as we move forward. George Baird with the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers joins us now for an update. George, always a pleasure. Midsouth, it's received a lot of rain over the last maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Talk about how that's impacted planting progress and what you're seeing.
I tell you what, it's really been a wild 6 weeks. We've had upwards of close to 15 inches in some areas, beginning with the first week in April where we had that 5 to 15 inches alone across most of the state, and it's really set us back. The south half of the state has made a lot of progress, and they're sitting in pretty good shape, but the north half of the state, especially Arkansas, continues to get these moderate rains. I think we've had rain 4 out of the last 5 days alone, and it's really starting to weigh on some people. Not only are we in maybe a prevent plant or a replant situation in some areas, we just simply can't even get in there to get the ground worked up to get to that point. So it's really impacting where we're standing on, especially on lower lying ground in some of the areas around Arkansas.
I was going to ask you, obviously, it really depends on the part of the state we're talking about, depends on region. So you are seeing some increases in prevent plant acres and acres maybe that you think could remain fallow. What are you hearing in regards to that?
Yeah, the margins are so tight already that, with any kind of replant, we're already down to, not much profitability in there. And you start getting delays upon delays, delays you're getting that crop in, it just is going to impact your yield. So there's going to be a lot of hard decisions have to be made over the next 2 or 3 weeks as to, file prevent plant. Do you come back with another crop as a second crop behind that, or do you just simply let that go fallow? So there's a lot of hard decisions need to be made, especially on maybe those not top end, high quality Class A farmland acres.
I have to tell you, yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off. I can hear the frustration in what you're saying, and I can only imagine the impact of farmer morale. What are you hearing from farmers and producers out there?
Yeah, a lot of them are just in a place like, what do we do?
Right.
We had the crop planted, we've had to replant. Now we need to replant again on some acres. There's no money in there anyway. There's an uncertainty about tariffs. There's uncertainty about Farm Bill. So we really need some of these things to flush out so we can have some benchmarks to make some decisions going forward. Frankly, it's a little discouraging, but overall, the crops that are planted are looking real good. It's just we need to finish out that crop mix. It's a good thing we have 90 days or so to plant, because it seems like over the last few years we've needed every bit of that window to get that done.
Yeah. Any impact when it comes to these hurdles that we're seeing? Any impact on land values?
We really haven't seen that yet. The theme here continues to be limited supply. There's a few bigger transactions that have taken place, but overall, limited supply has kept that demand up. So to date, we really haven't seen that fall off. But I would imagine if things continue down this, not so rosy path, we may see more land come to the market, and that may impact some land values on some marginal acres. But so far, we're holding pretty strong valuation-wise.
Well, that is good news. Hopefully, weather-wise, we can turn things around and producers can get to doing what they love to do, and that is farm. George, thank you, as always. We appreciate you joining us. George Baird with the American Society of Farm Managers and Rural Appraisers.